In this video, we'll talk about how you simplify square roots. So to simplify square root, first you're going to make a factor tree. Then you're going to circle pairs of the same number, take the circled pairs to the outside, and leave the uncircled numbers inside. So what that's going to look like with the square root of 9, we're going to make a factor tree for 9, which means we need two numbers that will multiply together to give us 9. So 3 times 3 will multiply together to give us 9. Then we look at this row and see if we can reduce it or break it down more. 3 and 3 won't reduce or break down, and so we're going to leave it just like it is. So we look and see if we have two numbers that are the same. If we do, we circle them. We take one of the numbers out, cross the other out. So our answer, because we don't have anything left inside the square root, is just 3. Same thing with 49. We can make our factor tree, which would consist of 7 times 7. 7 and 7 won't break down, so we circle those pairs because there's two of them. Take one out, cross the other out. So my answer would be 7. For 12, two numbers that will multiply together to give us 12 would be 4 times 3. You could also use 6 times 2 and you would get the same answer in the end, so whatever you decide to go with is fine. You can break down 4 by saying 2 times 2, but you can't break down 3, so I'm going to bring it down. So then I have 2 times 2 times 3. This row, when we get to where we can't break anything else down, is called our prime factorization. So once you get to your prime factorization, you should be able to multiply all of those numbers together to get 12. So if I did 2 times 2, that gives me 4, times 3 would give me 12. Alright, so now I'm going to see if I have two numbers that are the same. And so I've got two 2's, so I'm going to circle those. I'm going to write one of the 2's down, cross the other out. Now notice that I didn't do anything with that 3, so the 3 is going to stay underneath the square root sign. So my answer would be 2 square roots of 3. For square root of 20, I've got two options. I can do 10 times 2 or I can do 5 times 4. I'm going to go with 5 times 4 just because that's the one I like best, but you can go with 10 times 2 if you'd like. So I can't break down 5, so I'm going to bring it down. I can break down 4. I'm going to do 2 times 2. So I've got 5 times 2 times 2. Now I can't break down the 5's and I can't break down the 2's, so I'm done with the factor tree. And so now I want to see if I can make pairs. So I've got two numbers that are the same. I'm going to circle those, write one down, cross the other out. I didn't do anything with 5, so it stays underneath the square root. So my answer would be 2 square roots of 5. For number 5, I've got square root of 32. Well, 32 breaks down to 8 times 4. I can break down 8 by saying 4 times 2, and I can break down 4 by saying 2 times 2. Then I'll look and see if I can break down the 4's. I can break down 4 to 2 times 2, bring down all of those 2's. So I have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Now I'm going to see if I can make my pairs. I can make a pair of 2's there. I can make another pair of 2's there. So I'm going to write down one of the 2's, cross the other out. From this group, write down a 2, cross the other out. And then I left that 1 2 inside, so I'm going to keep it. Now anytime that I'm multiplying inside, I'm also going to multiply outside. So I'm going to say 2 times 2, which gives me 4. My answer would be 4 square roots of 2. For square root of 50, I can break down 50 to 25 times 2. I could also use 10 times 5. 25 will break down to 5 times 5. I bring down that 2. And then I have to see if I can break down the 5's or the 2's. I can't break down 5 or 2, so I'm going to circle my pairs. Circle my pairs, write one down, cross the other out. I didn't do anything with square root of 2, so I'll leave it. So my answer is 5 square roots of 2. 72 would break down to 9 times 8. I can break down 9 to 3 times 3 and 8 to 4 times 2. Can't break down the 3, so I'm going to bring those down. But the 4 I can break down to 2 times 2 and bring down that 2. Now I see that I have a group or a pair of 2's. I also have a pair of 3's. So I'm going to write down 3, times it with that 2 that I'm going to write down from this group, leave 2 inside, so 3 times 2 is 6. 6 square roots of 2 is my answer. 33 breaks down to 3 times 11, but I can't break down 3 and I can't break down 11. And so if I get to a situation where I've done my factor tree and I get things that won't break down anymore and I don't have any pairs, then my answer would just be the number that's in my square root. So the answer for square root of 33, when it's simplified, is still just the square root of 33. Number 9 is similar to the last ones, except this time we've got x to the third. So now we're going to include variables. You're going to do this very similar to how you did the others. So I'm going to start with 28 and break 28 down to 7 times 4. I've got x to the third, which means I have 3 x's. I can't break down 7, but I can break down 4 to 2 times 2. I'm going to bring down those x's because I can't break those down anymore. I can't break down the 7s or the 2s, so now I can start to make my groups or pairs. So I have a pair of 2's, I have a pair of x's. So I'm going to have 2 times x on the outside because I'm going to take out 1 from each of those, and I didn't do anything to a 7 or to an x underneath the square root, so I'm going to leave it. So my answer is 2x square root 7x. For number 10, I'm going to start with 32. Break 32 down to 8 times 4. X squared means I have 2 x's, and y to the 5th means I have 5 y's. I can break down 8 to 4 times 2. I can break down 4 to 2 times 2. Bring down those x's, and bring down the y's. I can break down 4 to 2 times 2. Bring down all the other 2's, bring down the x's, and the y's. From there I make my pairs, so there's a pair of 2's, another pair of 2's. That 2 doesn't have a pair, so I leave it. There's a pair of x's, a pair of y's, a pair of y's, and that y doesn't have anything, so I leave it. So on the outside I'm going to have 2 times 2 times x times y times y. I didn't touch a 2, and I didn't touch a y, so it stays inside. Now when I go to simplify this, 2 times 2 is 4 times x times y squared, because there's 2 y's, square root 2y. My answer would be 4xy squared, square root 2y.